Hi, my name is Alex, I'm Splynx founder, and in this video I'll be talking about ACS. ACS is an auto configuration server that we deployed to our platform, so it uses TR69 protocol. Why do you need to use this technology? So as any ISP, you probably have plenty of routers, home routers of your end user, or CPE, which means custom premises equipment, and you need to configure these devices, you need to upgrade them, you need to troubleshoot them. So I'm talking about routers like this, so it can be TP-Link device like this router with some voice over IP ports and Ethernet ports with Wi-Fi, or it can be this device also made from TP-Link. We'll be talking today about MikroTiks, and I'll be doing examples with these small devices, but it can be also Zyxel, so we do support of all these vendors in our ACS server. So why to use this central management of CPE devices? So you can troubleshoot it easily. So you don't need to log into each single device via web. You don't need to store and change the passwords to access for your administrators. Everything is done centrally. So you can run ping traceroutes, you can figure out what is happening on wireless of end user, you can make speed tests. So this is the basic troubleshooting that we can bring you. So then if you need to change the CPE config without logging into the device, or change the CPE configs in the mass action, like SSID, Wi-Fi password, DNS, PPPoE, whatever, so you need to add a firewall rule. So this can be done also through ACS. And very important thing is that you need to upgrade your version of home routers or custom premises devices. What you do is you just upload the file to ACS server, to Splynx, and then make a mass upgrade of all devices. And zero-touch provisioning, so it's what mentioned that we got the new router that we are sending to clients. So it has many antennas, like this one, it has ports. And we just plug it to the port and connect to our office network first before sending it to customer, and then we send it already configured. And technician who is installing the device and who is activating the network connection, so he doesn't need to touch anything. So everything is pre-configured and immediately it appears in your ACS panel. So what does Splynx in this case? Splynx, or how we implemented the ACS. So we use Genie ACS, which is open source. So it's on backend and free. You can use this Genie ACS software without Splynx completely. So we do not limit you. You can install it, configure, and the only thing is that if you use it without Splynx, you will not have our front end. So our front end is the add-on that connects Splynx to the Genie ACS, and this is what we charge for. So if you have like a price of normal or commercial ACS software of $0.50 or $1 of per month for one device, so we charge 10 US cents. So I think it makes economically sense to use our solution, and we do support MikroTiks, Zyxel, TP-Link, Cambium, Ubiquiti, and any other compatible vendor. Let's try it. In this video, I will be showing you how to make first connection to ACS, how to configure Splynx. Then we will make a troubleshooting, as I mentioned in the first slide, a Wi-Fi ping traceroute and speed test. Then we have change SSID and Wi-Fi password option, so we can do it from administrative part, or we can do it from end user portal. Then we'll try to upgrade router OS, because we will be working with MikroTik. And then we'll do this first initial provisioning, zero-touch provisioning. We will be able to send file through ACS to the router. Then we'll be able to change PPPoE and some Wi-Fi settings. What we need for this small lab. I have MikroTik router there with some configuration. So you see that what I need to install in MikroTik, I need to install the package of TR69. As soon as it is installed, I got the option to configure TR69 client. ACS URL is important, username and password. So there are three fields that we need to get first of all from Splynx. So this is my Splynx instance where I have ACS enabled. When I go to my config, and so there are plenty of configuration options. I use search, so I just type ACS and it shows me auto configuration server here under networking. I open it, and what I see is there is a CWMP port, CWMP SSL port. So CWMP is the protocol and technology that is used with the TR69 standard to connect end-user devices to Splynx. You can connect it via HTTP, or you can connect it secured via HTTPS, and we have two ports for that. So in this case, 7546 we will be using in this example. What are the networks? So it means what are my IP ranges that I use to connect my end user devices. I can allow everyone to connect to this ACS with a username and password, or I can also limit it by IP addresses. Username and password I define, and then the host name corresponds to my URL where Splynx is installed. And this is periodic informal interval, means that how often the device itself should connect to ACS. It's a 300 seconds we set up by default, but you can increase it to 1 hour, to 1 day, or even to 1 week. What I always recommend to have is to have direct visibility between ACS and end devices. So end user devices should be in the same network, or you should create the tunnel from your main router to Splynx server to have the reachability from Splynx to each single device. Because if we initiate some changes in Splynx, we need to push them immediately instead of waiting 300 seconds. So it's much better and it's much quicker, especially for ping and for traceroute and for troubleshooting. Then if we scroll down, we see there is an ACS server status that shows us that all services are running and online, and then we have some types of equipment that we configure, and very important part that we will use for provisioning is groups. So the groups I will be explaining later, but this is how we define provisioning flow. So let's enable our ACS in MikroTik settings in our end user device. It says it's running, and now this device should appear under our networking TR69 devices list. If I go to dashboard, I can refresh that. You see that we have 2 devices now. So it appears immediately because that device was configured, and so the settings were set. So here we have information, basic information about what is the model, what is the serial number, version 7.9, the latest one in this router. What is the IP address? This is what I mentioned. So this IP address I can reach from Splynx, and so it's visible, and it means that if I'll do any change in Splynx, it will immediately make it visible on my MikroTik router. So under logs, I can see that there is a communication between TR69 server and my end user device. So we checked ACS parameters for connection. We connected device to the ACS. Can we troubleshoot? Can we do Wi-Fi, ping, traceroute? So how to do that? Let's check what we have here under information of each CPE. So there is some tasks that Splynx initiates, and there are some faults. If I have errors, they will appear here under faults. Then we have information about our WAN, so that we have IPOE, which is the DHCP client, and IP address and the status of it. Then we have information about LAN, so we know that there is a DHCP server running, who are the hosts there. So there are no hosts because there are no one connected to this device. But if I switch to second one, so if let's go to the second router, we can see that it has 5 and 2 and 4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and under LAN it has this TV, a MikroTik router, some MacBook, and this configuration of DHCP server with clients. I can change also these settings directly from Splynx. So this is the way, so I don't need to connect to my router remotely. I can do everything in Splynx and it will update the data. Under Wi-Fi, we have several 5G networks. See, so there are some profiles, guest access. There is a 2.4, which is down and it's not enabled. And then if we go down, there we have some net rules, because this is what MikroTik provides us. We have all the net rules. We can again remove them, change and delete. And there are some firewall rules. And what I mentioned is about diagnostics. So we can run ping, we can run traceroute, can make a download of file and upload a file, and we can run this 2.4 or 5 gigahertz diagnostics. So let's run diagnostics. It will take some time, and will disconnect also clients from Wi-Fi, but I'm connected to different networks, so it will not kick me out. And we can run ping. So let's run ping for 888. And also we can run traceroute to some network 109.205.245.1, for example. Or let's make 111 to make it simple. So because the MikroTik is reachable directly from Splynx, so it runs immediately these tasks, and we can see that tasks even do not appear here. So what we just need to do, we need to refresh the data, and we get result. So the diagnostic status complete, we got response time, average time, and also the same thing should appear in traceroute. And then when we scroll down, so this is the most time-consuming part, is to get analysis of the Wi-Fi. So that will be updated now, and under activity we see that we did some activity, that main admin made a traceroute, that main admin made a ping, and also that system provision device is changing some kind of PPP. It was before, so it was a day ago, but all these activities are stored under our log of activities. So here still it requested, so still MikroTik hasn't sent us the reply for that. So we need to wait a bit, and here as well. So this can take some time. Yeah, so the traceroute is ready. So it says this is my traceroute from IP address, and that you see it goes through these steps, through these hops. And when I scroll down again, so I see my analysis of the wireless usage. So there are 2.4 channels that are available and that are used. So it suggests me to use, and if I use 2.4, it suggests me to use the third channel. Here it suggests me to use the 36 channel. So I can make the changes in Wi-Fi. So I can go to my Wi-Fi here and change it accordingly. So if I want to change this one, for example, I can change my radio channel from 56 to 36 and save it. So as soon as I do it, so it will kick out completely the whole devices, but then they will reconnect back. So that's we did the basic troubleshooting. How we can change SSID and Wi-Fi password from admin and also from end user portal. End user portal means that the end user and your subscribers, they can log into Splynx portal and make these changes themselves. So first of all, if I want to change my SSID and password, of course, I can do it here. So I can just change this one to my home one, and I can change as well, I think there was a password change somewhere, security key to 345. Save it. And we need to wait a bit again. The change will be made. We see if there will be task. Here there is a set parameter values, and also we can go to MikroTik and it will show us that there is a communication between end user device and Splynx server. So when this task disappears and there are no faults, we scroll down and we see that the SSID was changed and my access details were, the password was also changed. So this is how I can change my settings. And now if this device is assigned to customer, let's assign it to customer Alex Cherry, and let's connect from his customer portal. Let's see how he can change it himself. Alex Cherry. There's the option to log in as a customer. My products, my services, this is what he can make a payment. This is his customer portal. He can see his unpaid invoices, his services, tickets, and under hardware, he will find his devices. So that's, you can see Wi-Fi status, SSID, password. He has many, as I said, different 5 gigahertz networks. So that's, we can again change. So let's change this one to my new network 1, and the password will be 123456. 123456. Save it. Okay, it must be at least 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you see that customer, the devices attributed were saved. And if we go back to our view of the TR69 and we choose, so here you can see that this device was assigned to Alex Cherry. As soon as it is assigned, you can use different parameters from customer profile for provision device. Like, for example, you need to set up SSID, you need to use PPPO username and password, but that will be touching in the provisioning section. If I go again there, I don't even need to refresh. You see that the Wi-Fi settings were changed to the SSID and to a new password. So we did the 4 steps. So now the question is how to upgrade operating system, how to change it. If we have MikroTik, the MikroTik is a bit tricky, so it's not enough just to send the file there. Under actions, you see that we can run provisioning, send file, but if I choose my devices and I select the box, I can do an upgrade. So if I do the upgrade, it will ask me what file should I use. The files we store under files, so we need to upload the vendor files first here, and where as soon as they are uploaded, we can use them for upgrading or for configuration changes. So if I upgrade MikroTik, I need to create an XML file where will be specified URL where to download the main package, and of course I need TR69 package. So how to do that? The XML file is very simple. So let's find this in my files. I have it, upgrade MikroTik. Now that's the whole file. So it says like a link URL where I put my file that I allow to be downloaded, and the second file, which is the TR69 client. And these packages I download from MikroTik website. And if I need to upgrade, as I said, I can upgrade one device, or I can upgrade batch of devices, so I can upgrade 100 devices in one step. What I do is just I select action, I select upgrade, and let's try if we can connect this router to check, because this one is our first router. The second router is on different IP address. So let's try to call first and connect to the second one. There is no route to that, but never mind. I can see my OS version here. So the software version is 7.7. I want to upgrade it to 7.9. So let's do the upgrade. Let's go to devices. Let's make action, upgrade. And here we use the XML file. We send the XML file to the router, and we need to wait when it will be upgraded, because it will reboot as well. So meanwhile, I'm waiting for the upgrade. I can add the software version to my table. So I will remove, for example, information that it was provisioned or not, and then I will make a software version. So here we can see that this is a software version of the device that we are now trying to upgrade, and that's my second router that was already upgraded. So after a certain period of time, I'm refreshing my data and I see that the device was upgraded to 7.9 version. And the last inform was 2 minutes ago. So the device was successfully upgraded. Let's go to the last step of our lab, which is initial provisioning. So how to provision device if it's not provisioned. So MikroTik unfortunately doesn't work well with option 43 for setting through IPDHCP client, the TR69, but other vendors, they support it. Other vendors on FTTH can pass this information to device when it is connected to fiber network, so through the fiber profiles. And here MikroTik can be done using net install. So we can have a net install, and in net install what we need to add is we need to add the configuration line of setting up TR69. The configuration line is very simple, so it's just URL and username and password. So we can get this from our configuration from terminal. We can make TR69 client export, and this is the link. This is what we need to add to our net install to push this TR69 in the first, like a pre-configuration. When we do this basic pre-configuration, what we can do next, we can, for example, change the configuration. So in this, I don't have in this router PPPoE interface, and I don't have VLAN interface. I need some VLAN interfaces as well. So I can do it using TR69 parameters, like here if I go to my configuration, ACS, and let's go to provisioning flow, scroll down, there are groups. So I have a group that I created, HAPAC, and there are, you see, these are the parameters of TR69 and their values. So for example, I can create a PPP interface or VLAN interface. I can change existing interface. I can change my SSID to a certain name. We can use here not only values, but we can also use templates. We can use some customer information. So from customer, we can take email, we can take anything. So we can create a special field that will be called SSID. So it will create SSID from that field. Or we can use, for example, here when I'm setting or when I'm changing my PPP interface, so instead of setting value statically, I will set up my value as a service, internet service login, and that will be password, service password. So it means as soon as I assign device to my end user, it will take from Splynx services this data and it will push it to this device that was assigned to a customer. What I can do else is I can send the change to, for example, if you have plenty of MikroTik routers, you can apply the change massively. So for example, you create the one firewall rule or certain redirects. So you can push it to all your MikroTik devices. How to do that, I will show you. For that in MikroTik, we need to create a small configuration file which ends alter.alter. So we do vlans.alter, I think it's called, this file here. Let me find it. So here it is. So this is vlans.alter. See that there are a few lines of configuration that I need to add. I need to add VLAN interface, and I need to add one PPPoE client with no username and no password. So how to do that? I upload again this file to my files. So here is the file, and then I select devices that I need to apply this configuration change. I click action, and I can upgrade by sending this file. So I can send this file there, or I can go one by one and make an action send file. So I select this. So let's open MikroTik. So you see that there is no VLAN interface on this MikroTik, and there is no PPPoE username password, or I mean no PPPoE interface. Now in this step I will send the file, and it should immediately create a PPPoE interface and immediately created two VLAN interfaces. So when I have now this PPPoE interface, I can use my, let's try the second option, is how to use my variables. So I select my device, or I can assign it to a customer and run provisioning. So I will assign it to customer Guy Ritchie. Save, and now I can run provisioning. So as soon as I run provisioning, it will So it will take the group. So here you see that I have a group selection. So this is very important. So that's why I created group and the flow. So let's go back again to my ACS settings, to my groups. So I have one group that I created. If I want to create a new group with a new provisioning flow, I will call it HAP test, Alex, and then I select what is my device class, model name, and what is my periodic interval if I want to make auto provisioning. This I don't use, but this only will always require you the code. But so if I want that to be active, I just enable auto provisioning add, and then the next step, what I do, I have certain options. So if I have two devices and I want to copy from one device to another, I want to copy configuration, there is a here option for that. If I want to use one configured device, grab his configuration, then reset it and configure it with the flow, it's the second option. And for example, I always work with this one. If I have one device and I'm ready to play with manual insert of parameters, when I click next, it will show me. So first of all, you see that it says devices not found. So I need to go to my networking and assign it to a group. So this device, I need to change this group to HAP test Alex. Now I go again to the config, to my ACS, and under group settings, I do this step. I have one device and ready to play with manual insert. So here, refresh. So that's why direct IP visibility is very important, because in this step I do refresh settings and I get all the parameters that TR69 provides me. Splynx has some predefined templates that I can use, so it immediately grabs some values and it says, okay, you can update these values, or I can remove some of them. I can create a new interfaces if I need, and I can just make this, just delete them all, but I will use, for example, this is PPP, so device PPP3, and I can update username, as I said, and I can create the new line, so the username will be PPP test. I will add the second, which is a password, again PPP test. I save it. So now what it will do, it will update my live PPP interface that was created in MikroTik. So you see that it's ID 3 because I already did several interfaces, so I removed them, I created them, but if you will start from the beginning, it will be, in your case, PPP interface 1. So an action is update, and I save it. My next step is, so I just go to my networking devices, so it was assigned to a different group. You see that it was HAP test Alex. Now I go to this device, and what I do, I just run provisioning. Run provisioning, and what it will do in my case, it will update my PPPoE username and PPPoE password in this case. So let's click and check. We see that there is like a set parameters, and if we go there, it's a PPP test. And then when we go to the recent activities, we see that system provision device setting username to PPP test and password to PPP test. So I think that we covered all the areas here. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or our support team, and we will help you to set up ACS, and we will help you to connect your devices to Splynx to manage them centrally. Thank you for your time.